What's going on? Welcome back. I know I haven't streamed on this particular channel in some time, and that is because on my main channel, I just like, okay, whatever, I'll just keep this as a backup. However, recently, I found out that when you go from topic to topic to topic to topic, not so much in a live stream, but more so in like specific videos, YouTube doesn't like that. And that's kind of an issue that YouTube doesn't like because it halts your momentum. It jogs your algorithm. So that's pretty much what. Sorry, eye sand. I should have done that. I should have just washed out my eye sand. Huh? Little thing on my screen there. Anyways, I hate wearing glasses, but it's got to be done. Glasses are somewhat of a necessity. So that's pretty much it. You're kind of locked in a box. It's kind of, I mean, it'd be nice if YouTube was a little bit more open source. It is not. There's other platforms, you know, and on a live stream, you could kind of go from topic to topic, and it doesn't hurt you. And you wonder why if you're, starting out on YouTube and you get way more views on a live stream than you do any particular video, unless something really spicy happens on that video, or if it's a kind of clickbaity and whatever, you know, drama clicks happens. Nothing wrong with drama clicks. So that's why I'm doing this. I was like, okay, so it jogged my algorithm, which means if I want to get the momentum back on that particular channel, I have to not stream there or not upload anything for 6 months. But I cover a wide variety of topics. I cover, you know, uh, my insight on current trends, my insight on history, and then every now and then I'll throw in a comic book review, and then and then sometimes I'll throw in a couple of trade secrets I have in my profession, and going from that kind of eclectic blend really jogs my channel. To say focus on one thing, I don't like that. I don't like focusing on one thing. Uh, but that's kind of the way they're morphing it. It's kind of like, how I've titled this particular stream, History is Written by the Winners. And so let's look at the way society is set up, especially here in the West, in the Western world. So they decided to throw a bone and they okay, so let's put it in perspective. All right, so you had the robber barons back at the turn of the from the 19th to the 20th century. You had the robber barons saying work, 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 work. Then it's like they had the workers say, like, you know what, we have a family. It's better to, you know, I mean, what good is all this money if we can't spend time with our family? We can't spend the money, all this other stuff. What good is all the overtime if you're not alive to spend it? So what they came up with was there's 24 hours in a day, and you divide that by 3. So that's 8, 8, and 8. 8 hours of work, 8 hours with your family, 8 hours of sleep. Rinse and then repeat. Eight, 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 eight. And then of course you got Sunday, you got Saturday, you got Sunday. You got your days of rest, your weekends, so to speak. So right there, they decide to use that as a form of control. You're stuck in a rut, not the same rut, but you're still stuck in that rut. And many people can't get out of that rut, and they've accepted that as the norm of society. So let's take a look. Like I said, history is written by the winners. So it's no secret that they kind of had their hands in that. It's like, how do we maintain this control? And then second shifts were added, third shifts were added, swing shifts were added to continue a 24-hour cycle of production for the product that they are selling in order to increase profits. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a company that does several different shifts to cover their needs. There's nothing wrong with that, but we've accepted it as sort of a this is the way of life, the only way of life. Then then it's like, okay, well, people can get successful, move up the ladder, right? Then they instituted what's called a class system. You're either blue collar or white collar, and no one that's white collar ever was blue collar, typically speaking. And they wanted to separate that right then. They had to separate it. However, the people that have been doing it for a while know exactly how the machines work, how everything works, how production works. And he's like, "You want to make sure you streamline this? You listen to us." And they say, "What do you know? You're just a slob, whatever." So we keep these Ivy League white collar people. There you go. And I have nothing against anyone who's been white collar or blue collar. I'm all for, hey, find a way to success, make it work for you. That's all what it's about. So that's what we have here. And so they had that class warfare system, that kind of class envy system. You see, it's all about keeping people divided. And today we have things at place where it's like, well, what do? We have the internet. People are starting their own businesses. People are there's more startups than ever. People are making a lot of money and everything. So we got to find a way to divide. Uh, so they dig up the ghost of racial segregation, racial division. They bring up religious, and they intentionally create new denominations within religions to keep things divided, people divided. They come up with things like, and I'm going to say it, flat Earth theory. That is one come up by atheists that make Christians look dumb. I know a lot of people that believe in flat Earth. I know a lot of people that reject flat Earth. I myself reject flat Earth. Now, we could talk about hollow Earth, then we could talk, or hollow crust. That's very plausible. But it's neither here nor there. The shape of the Earth, the density of the Earth, doesn't make that big of a difference to me because that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change my way of life one iota. Whether the earth is round or flat, solid or hollow, doesn't change what how I get up in the morning and go about my day. Not one iota, not one. So history is written by the winners, and when they can't win, they have to divide and conquer. You understand that? When you divide and conquer, then you're able to get things done that you couldn't have done before. Then you're able to control society. And it's not about making money to these people. It's not about being rich. It's about using the ultimate currency, which is humans. Because when you're so rich that money doesn't matter, then you just like then basically you see humans as work animals, as pets, as everything else, but a living, breathing soul. And it's again a class society system. And we have predictive programming, and I don't have a script today. I don't have a script. I'm not pulling up any articles or whatever. Everything's done by memory and experience today. It's like, oh, well, da, 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 da." I've immersed myself in so much research, so much news articles that it makes my head almost explode. Oops, sorry about that. Got a little bit of mic hit, whatever. So, anyways, that's really what I'm going on to about today. So, anyways, so this is the channel specifically. I'm doing live streaming on this channel, and this right here is going to be the channel that's going to be my main primary channel for live streaming, and I'll probably have some guests on at some point. I always have, and I'll probably do special one-on-one interviews. The issue I'm having here is again, I don't want this to turn into a free for all. I want people to get something out of this. I want to make people think, why are things the way they are? How come you can go there but not here? How come you can say this but not that? How come, and if they give a reason, just a reason, and if they don't avoid the issue, I'm fine with that. If they flat out gave me a reason, at least you had that. At least there's something to be said about that. I'm just gonna pop that there. Boom. Yeah, and so I'm not really doing a good job of advertising. How are you doing this morning? Good to see you. Good to see you. Uh So, anyways, so I've learned that live streaming is going to get traction. Regular uploads will get traction, but you can't have several different topics at the same time, unfortunately. Now, there's other platforms again, and I always talk about other platforms. And for a while, my channel was halfway dedicated to alternative platforms for people that like to do video podcasts and YouTubes and stuff like that. And how to link them together and how to streamline them. But the problem with these other platforms is the search system is bad. You know, so far the best ones I've seen were Odyssey and BitChute as far as recommendations, but you still got to work to find what you want there. Rumble is completely horrible for that sort of friendliness. Not say, I mean, you could say anything you want on these platforms, but that's the problem. You can't have it, you can't find what you want to find. Twitch, same issue, except for they have a different set of rules than YouTube. A lot different. Let's see. All right. I am just dropping my video link everywhere I could find. But going on to predictive programming, uh, we have just about everything you see going on today. You've probably seen it in other. You've probably seen it on television at some point, on a cartoon, in a movie, in a book, in a comic book. So it's something interesting to see. And thank you again for sharing out my stream, Raquel. I appreciate that. So going back to the whole class society thing and division, and you ever notice uh, in the last we'll just say 30 years, but the last 10 in particular, sort of you take a look at a person and they kind of are a carbon copy of like something you might have seen on TV. Uh, hold on, let's see. Let's see. I think every YouTuber should seek an alternative website, but yeah, I wish the search engine on these alternatives websites were better. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the problem with them. But going on to what I was saying is, how you have you've seen a person like just out and about, random person, and they fit a sort of description that matches other people. It's just kind of like a almost like like an extra on a TV show or an NPC or something. About 5, 6 years ago, actually, it was probably about, yeah, 6, 7 years ago, we had what was called hipsters. And, you have your typical hipster guy, skinny jeans, really thin build, probably a vegan with a beard, wearing flannel and a fedora, and hanging out at the Starbucks or whatever, but can't decide whether he's into nature or if he's trendy, uh, or if he's into tech. Always has to have the latest Apple product. There's that one. Then you have the typical uh, colored hair people. No, not that kind of hipster, Raquel. Not that kind of hipster, not hippie. Hipster, not hippie. Hippies are different. Then you have the typical, especially. I mean, now it's different because it's Halloween, but after Halloween, you're gonna see it change. You have your typical, you have your girl that has colored hair, whether it's blue, purple, or green, typically. Sometimes red. Red's different. We're talking about like Wendy's uh mascot girl, Red. But they typically have this sort of, and then they have like piercings all over the place, kinda, you know? And not that there's nothing wrong with piercings or dyeing your hair. And then they just kinda have this sort of very nihilistic view of society. On top of that, they're they seem quiet until there's something that really triggers them emotionally, and it's always got to be the textbook liberal agenda thing, which is weird. And and then I remember a trend that happened not to, I want to say, back when I was like a teenager going into adulthood, and that was a lot of guys. Oh, Kool-Aid hair. Yep, Kool-Aid hair. That's a good way to put it. A lot of guys, for no reason, again, no reason, because it's sort of like a, uh, what's the word? Not predictive programming, but uh, hmm, sus there's a word for it. I'll find it. I'll find the word. But they would have these, on their biceps, they would have these barbed wire tribal tattoos, just like that. And it just like almost every guy, almost every jock, every guy that was, into athletics, especially the weightlifters and football players, and just your typical Chad, but they would have that. Why would they have that? It makes no sense. It holds no real significance at all. Same with girls getting what was called a tramp stamp at the time, which was either a flower or a butterfly right on the very small of their back, right above their butt crack. And there was no reason for it. It meant nothing, no significance. And it was like, type of thing. Well, everybody's doing it. Social engineering, that's the word I'm looking for. Social engineering. That's what it is. Social engineering. Why? Because okay, so who had the barbed wire tattoo? The first time I've seen a barbed wire tattoo, tribal tattoo, was someone was a wrestler called Bill Goldberg, who was very popular at the time during the Monday Night Wars of a phase of pro wrestling, which at that time pro wrestling was very, very, very popular. Not since hasn't been that popular since the 1980s with a rock and wrestling, and then they kind of comes and goes. Like people are into wrestling at some point, whatever. You know, so you had that sort of social engineering where people were just doing things because they saw it on TV, they saw a celebrity do it, uh, and it's been advertised, and a lot of it is subliminal predictive programming, like the whole butterfly thing. A lot of that has to do with monarch mind control programming, which is the monarch butterfly, and so that's because it goes one way into the other, and that's part of the program. So it's like using it on a wide scale, you know, and we can go back to the 90s. And it's different to have trends, and then it's different to have like things that are people are just 100% carbon copy, losing their individuality. You know, for instance, we can go back to the 90s, early 90s. A lot of people were especially guys were in those loose like clothing, a loose shirt. Not talking about baggy pants, but we're talking about like cargo shorts, and then well, yeah, baggy pants if you wore pants, skater stuff. It's like you couldn't tell whether they were a skater or whether they were into hip hop, but it's just kind of thing. And for me, I kind of stuck that way, except for I had a different hairstyle. My hairstyle's the way it is now. It's different, but I never got into the whole 2-layer hoodie and a 2-layer shirt thing. Why? Because I'm in Florida and it's freaking hot, man. It's just hot. Um, so that was the trend where you had skater guy, and you had the term poser. It's like, why are you doing that? You're not a skater. You're a poser. You know, and so again, we could look at these trends and the people that either held on to them or people that just kind of stayed with it. You know, sometimes you find a style that works for you and you stick with it, and then sometimes you just completely are a carbon copy. You talk the way they talk. You say what they say. You have no personality. That's the problem. That is the problem. When you have no real personality, there you go. You see, it's all about being part of a collective and not being an individual. When you are part of a collective, so to speak, you you have to feel accepted. It's fine to be part of a group and feel accepted, but to be exactly the same as everybody else in the group, that's how cults get started. And when that thing goes away, it's like, well, that's out, this is in. That's out, this is in. Be part of the in crowd. That is out, this is in. We don't see that too much these days. We do and we don't. And that's what we have. It's like, okay, well, for instance, we could talk about the um anyone who's into say they're you know they're football. They like to play football, and if they get the current trend of the other players, like the whole barbed wire tattoo, and then that goes away and there's something else. Are they gonna do that something else, or are they just gonna stick by themselves? Who knows? Or the whole like oh, the thing to be a political activist, dye your hair, Kool-Aid hair, whatever, and then that goes away and then something else. Are you gonna still I mean, once you start disagreeing with the pack and things happen, just look at, Tulsi Gabbard and, you know, and that whole situation there, or, this it's either whichever way the wind blows, or are you gonna be an individual? What works for you? What do you like? And everything. So, the biggest thing about social engineering, and I've come to see this over the last few years, is what we call arrested development. So, is it any wonder why you say we take something like comic books, where we take certain characters and they put them in precarious situations where they gotta have some sort of sexual experimentation and go a certain way and do a certain thing that has nothing to do with that character's core values, or that is just completely just fan fiction, erotic fan fiction, uh, published by mainline publishers. Or, same with, um, we could look at some of the more things like Halloween, how it's become really where you I mean, I have my takes on Halloween that are completely different, that have always been that way since I was about 12 years old. But something where you say, "Okay, trick or treating for kids." All right, we'll just take that. And, of course, trick or treating for kids, sometimes the adults would go have a party where they put in costumes and they drink. Okay? When I was a kid, that was it. That's what Halloween was. I mean, for the most part in America. Now, you have where it's 100, where they have it 100% made it geared towards adults, adult themes, and everything else, where you have every single thing that was marketed to children at one point being marketed to adults, taking some of the nostalgic factor and really sexualizing it. You see that with comic books, you see that with reboots of certain television and cartoon shows, you see that with um yeah, that still happens. That's never going to go away. And you see that you see that with certain things. And it's called arrested development. And it's like, well, it's one thing to just be a kid at heart and enjoy certain things, but you don't go out there and over sexualize it in a community and things like that. Then it becomes arrested development. Then at one point that community that overdoes that takes off and it becomes the mainstream. So that's what you're looking at. That's exactly what happened. And then it's like something that was PG is now it becomes PG-13, becomes rated R, becomes NC-17, becomes 18 and up, becomes 21 and up. And that's the problem what we have. You know, it's arrested development from these adults that refuse to grow up. And like I said, it's one thing to have some nostalgia, keep some of your old toys and old books and whatever. And it's like, yeah, this was really enjoyable. I can pass this on, or whatever. But to completely immerse yourself into it and say, "Well, gee whiz, I wonder if such and such and such and such hooked up, and I want the dirty details." It's like, wait a minute. This was a kids show. This was a kids thing. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? In your Tumblrs and your Deviant Arts and things like that. So that's what you're getting at. And it's like, what's made for kids anymore? And you do a search on certain cartoons, like a certain cartoon character, and some of those top searches, you're gonna get back very erotic hentai. in fan fiction, and that's the truth of the matter. So this is what we've run into. We've run into Arrested Development, and then we've run into more kids being abused because I think that might be a cause of it. I could be wrong, but it certainly doesn't help the matter. Like the whole brony thing, 40-year-old adult males into My Little Pony. As so wrong. Yes, I will cast judgment. I judge you. I don't care if you're mad. If you are a middle-aged man into My Little Pony and you're proud about it, I want nothing to do with you. I really don't. I really don't want anything to do with you. So, like I said, history is written by the winners. And so now we have a world run that is starting to get run by people with Arrested Development issues that got their blue ribbon for everything. Yes, I thought I said bronies. I don't care. I don't care what they're called. I call them perverts. So this is the main issue. You get these people with these problems. Oh man. And the world is starting to be run by them. They're starting to get executive positions. They're getting all these different things, and it's because it was inevitable that the next generation comes and takes over leadership at some point, and that's inevitable. But now, because they've been so twisted and warped and not had and when I say proper upbringing, I don't mean like prim and proper and strict. I mean like saying some things are black and white. Some things are saying this is right, this is wrong. This is good, this is bad. This is kosher, this is unclean. This is nice, this is mean. And it's like this is polite, this is rude. And when you take all that, you throw it out the window and you say everything's subjective, everything there's shades of gray to everything and all this other stuff. Then you have a problem, especially when you have a society that has said, okay, well, everybody's a winner, ha 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 ha. And then when there's a contest put in place, established, where he's like, yes, there is a loser. There is a winner and a loser. They can't take it. And when they get rejected, like for instance, like right here, when people think rationally saying, oh, I'm not going to go watch that, they get upset because of the low ratings. They feel like you're rejecting them personally. They think that society has hurt them, that society has stabbed their back. That same society says, oh yeah, you can do anything, we're going to reward you no matter what. It's not going to make enough money, I'm sorry. And it's like and that's why it's better to, when someone does fail at first, you say, this isn't good enough, try harder, get back up on that horse and ride. And so it's like, you did a great job, keep going, you're a winner, when clearly someone else is, when clearly someone else is better. It's like here, I'll show you. This is probably going to be the best example I can give to people. All right. All right, so With a stencil, I drew this. That's a perfect circle. And then I just did a quick circular sketch. This one's clearly better than this. This one deserves first place. This one does not. When someone says, I'd rather have this one than this one, I should not be offended because this is clearly a better circle than this. And then when you say, well, yeah, okay, we're going to reboot the circle. Here's this new circle. Well, I like the old one better. How dare you? You're wrong. You're bigoted. You're racist. You're everything under the sun. But this is better. What are you talking about? Da, 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 da. This is better. Da, 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 da. We pay money for this. Da, 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 da. We'd rather watch this all day. Da, 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 da. You're not winning here. Oh. Canceled. And at some point it does become canceled. So that's my little illustration of what's going on in society today. Again, history is written by the winners. And the more these people get in, and the more they have that same attitude, the worse it is for the rest of us. That's just the truth. So, anyways, I see that I've been going for, oh, wow. I'll go for a little bit because you just joined. It's good to see you, mates. It's good to see you. Everybody share this out. So, yeah, so that's the point I'm driving at, is when we have, again, social engineering has been the norm, has been the way things have gone, and the way things will probably continue to go in until the end. And it's nothing new. It is nothing new at all. I mean, we can go back to, I mean, on the simplest form, it's trend setting. On the extreme form, it's carving out society in the way you want it to be carved out. It's like, think about like a wood or ice sculptor. You want to think about France. I forget what century that was, where right before the French Revolution, that whole the Renaissance and the Rococo, where whatever the king was doing, that's what you did. However, he had his house, that's what you wanted to try. If you want to get in high society, there it is. Oh, if the king was doing it, it was 100% acceptable. That's where we got the whole powdered wigs from, and where you had that's the start of high fashion. That was all this other stuff. And then so you had society doing it. Whereas you look over at Britain, where it was like, when the royals did something, they were royals, they were different. They were designed to be different. They were untouchable. And then the way it was in France was they were trendsetters. So they took that idea and they went ahead and they morphed it. They took social engineering through predictive programming and everything else to say what toys to buy, what things to watch, what clothes to buy, how you had your hairstyle, what tattoos were in at the time. And then it's like, and then they got the idea. It's like, what if we tell them how to think? So how do you act? How do you whatever, instead of being polite, instead of saying yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, thank you, please, may I have this, will you do me a favor if you don't mind, all this stuff, all the being, just like like Raquel said, proper standards. And so that's what we have. And I really hope that someday that we see that we overcome this and we get smart enough to know to think for ourselves. I remember there was in the 90s early 90s, a big push for being individual. And then they stopped that. There was, do your own thing, be individual, all this other stuff. You don't see that anymore. They squelched that. The idea was problem, reaction, solution. Break free from the bondage of prim and proper was the idea. And then it's like, okay, now you're thinking too individually. We got to reel you back. It's like it's kind of like a tug and pull. It's like dangling the carrot, in front of the cart. Uh, no, no, our society is not. It is not, and sadly, it is not. I agree with you. So, again, this channel is going to be predicted predominantly for live streams, and I'll do my live streams on this channel. I won't do them on my other channel. Let's see. I watch old videos and see these people who actually cared about being respectful and proper in public. Yeah. I wonder what. Man, where is that channel? There was this. If I could find it, it's a really interesting channel. They show all these old videos and stuff from like the Department of the Army and stuff, and um. Oh, when you look at the subscriber count, you'll see why. This is a different channel. I have my other channel being called Brian versus the World. I just called this one Brian TV. I'll probably change it to Brian TV Live, and I will do live streams on this one. The other one, kind of have a little bit dormant. See if I can reset things on that channel. But like I said, since you missed the first part of the stream, I gave a little disclaimer, and I'll say it again. When you go from topic to topic on YouTube, not so much in a live stream, but more so like say like I upload videos about what's going on in the news, different secret societies and whatnot, okay, in history and science, and that kind of fits in that somewhat of the same category. But then I go from pop culture news, I go to comic book reviews, I go to you know audio trade secrets, and I go from kind of go different topics, and then I go to just drawing, and that's YouTube don't like that, and so it halts my momentum, and it tanks the algorithm, and that's what happens, and that's why my live streams get way more views than uh my other videos. So I'll probably re-upload a couple of videos here, especially especially how I'm dedicating this channel specifically to what I mainly talk about. And the other stuff, I got other channels that talk about things specifically, and I'll probably default in the description. It's not there now, but I'll default in the description of my future streams where to go to find those things. If you want to talk about audio, I got a channel called The Phase Factor, spelled Phaze, and then Factor spelled with a PH instead of an F. And then I got there's one I'm working on called the IP Farm, meaning intellectual property. But then when I say it off the tongue, it sounds kind of dirty. IP, no. Where I will talk about different things about how certain licenses and things went from one company to another, and why some companies that own certain IP can't use them because it's licensed out to other companies, even though that's probably not going to have as much, because I think most of the stuff's been covered, and we'll see where that goes. And then that's it really, and I'll probably just live stream games on my other channel, my main channel. Our society right now is like a hive mind. Exactly. Exactly. That is the that is the case, and that case has been made by several people. A hive mind. And speaking of things about here, let me do this. There you go. There you go. Now, Mitz, you got a wrench now. Speaking of things about hive mind, when you start watching television, you'll notice things like kind of like kind of like what you see inside of a honeycomb, like what's with the hexagons everywhere. You'll see that. You'll see a lot of hexagons. You'll see sort of a. You ever notice how ziggurat almost when they do a beehive, they they don't do kind of like I'll show you here. Okay, it's like a beehive would. Hold on. All right, and then this beehive. Okay. All right. So the one I circled is what a beehive typically would look like. It's kind of like a oval shape and whatever. And then the one to the yeah, right here, it's kind of like stacked in sort of one layer higher than the other type of fashion. And it looks almost like a pyramid or ziggurat. And for those of you who don't know, the whole ziggurat thing and pyramid, that's a Tower of Babel. Um, Tower of Babel, Babylon. It's where they get their name. It's God confounded the language, and they went ahead and they said they couldn't understand each other, so the project was kind of halted. But they took their paganistic witchcraft beliefs with them, and things became different, known by different names. But anyways, it's all going back to that. It's all going back. It's all about going back to that one world society where everybody spoke the same language and trying to build a tower unto the heavens. Let's see, they need to start having politicians become licensed. Have them recertify every few years. If my plumber and electrician need to do that, why not my politician? Well, there's an idea. Well, the thing is, this is what gets me is you look at the I actually because I researched it. It's like what, especially in my state, what do you do to be on the what do you need to do to be on the ballot? And so there's those typical rules about this, that, and the other. You got to be of a certain age and not have any arrests and an American citizen to run for a certain political office. But then to register with either Republican or Democrat at somewhere between 8 to 10 grand to register with a certain party, meaning that if you want to run in said party, you got to fork over 8 to 10 grand, and that's just to get in the primary for said party. Now, you can go to the ballot, you can say, I'm an independent, whatever, and you'll be fine. You don't really have to pay anything. Oh, yes, term limits. I'm a big fan of term limits. I want that to happen. Yeah, and that's probably never going to happen in our lifetime. But then again, I said that Disney will not lose their special licenses in my lifetime, and that happened. Thank you, Governor DeSantis, for that. Yeah, and don't let people lie to you. That's been going on for a very long time, and it's something I never saw I see get done. Now it's gotten done, and now they don't have free reign over over that area. They don't have free reign over that spot over in Osceola and Orange County, which means if they want to do anything over there, anything new, they got to have a building permit. And the people over there that have those businesses no longer have to pay Disney a hidden tax plus taxes on top of that. Now they go directly to the governments of Orange and Osceola counties for their property taxes and for their business taxes. Not business taxes, but their building permits and property taxes. So I don't want to hear, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't make a difference. Guess what? You get more money back. And now more money is going to go to the state and counties versus directly into Disney's pockets. So yeah, I'm a fan of term limits. I'm a fan of re-registering as are you still running for this? But it might not do anything as far as the re-registering. So yeah, they have predictive programming, they have social engineering, and weak-minded fools become suckers. Let's see. Oh yeah, me too. I'm very thankful for that move. So I've been going for close to an hour, and I want to thank you guys for showing up in the chat. I would like to see more people come to this channel. This will be my main live stream channel, and I'll do more live streams on it. And just I probably will do only live streams on this channel. But I want to thank you guys for sure, and I got to get some breakfast. I don't really feel hungry, but I know since I haven't eaten anything yet, it'll be a bad time if I don't eat something. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one. And y'all have a safe one. Peace out.